So your teen is wanting to create an Instagram account and you're a little bit concerned, knowing they might need some coaching, some guidance. You want to monitor a little bit, you want to help them to make good decisions and stay safe. This is the video for you. All right, here we go. So the first thing you're going to want to do is help your child decide whether or not they're going to have a public account or a private account. And I can show you how to do that in a second, but understand that if they have a private account, basically that account can only be seen by people who request and then are accepted as followers. And a public account is open to the world of Instagram users who might stumble across the content and then follow your child, or otherwise just not have to go through an acceptance procedure. They would just be able to see your child's stuff publicly posted on Instagram. So let's dive in to Instagram and take a look how to choose between public and private. So here we are on my phone in Instagram, and I'm going to use my account just like you would be using your child's account when you are choosing public or private, or maybe you as adults have a reason to be private. Anyway, if you tap on your avatar icon in the lower right, and then you tap in the upper right the three lines or the hamburger up there, and then you're going to go to settings. All right, you go to privacy, which is the third thing down there, and right there at the top you can toggle on or off private account. So as you see, it defaults to public, but you could toggle it on to private. You should know that if your child's account is private, that people can search for them by name, but they would see that it is a private account and they would have to request access. The other thing I would say is this is a good conversation, because I'm not saying that there's a right or wrong way to do this with teens. Some families are going to choose to have public accounts, and some families are going to have reasons to go with private account. All right, now that your child has an Instagram account and you've chosen whether it's going to be public or private, the next step for you to kind of help them and monitor them and see what they're up to and guide them is to actually follow them. If you follow them, you can see who is following them. You can also see all of their posts, their photos, and any comments that any other user is leaving on their posts. Now, some of you might have gotten in trouble with your child before and posted something that embarrassed them or otherwise made them feel like you're not trustworthy to be on their accounts. So you might need to have that conversation that, yes, I am going to follow you and see your posts, and I promise I will never post anything embarrassing again. Now, if your child absolutely does not want you to follow them on Instagram, that might be a problem for your family, and you might decide that children in your family only get to have Instagram accounts if you get to follow them. But another thing to consider is that you could have other adults in their network, in their community that care about them, follow them just as a way to kind of remind them that there's really nothing private about social media and that we really should be being careful about what we post, really making sure that it's appropriate for all audiences. All right, the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to help your child to set up a content filter. Now, this is not a parent control where you're setting a content filter for their account. It's actually them. They have access to this, changing their account to kind of keep the naughtier stuff from being put in front of them. And that's a conversation that you'll want to have with them, and you can talk about your whys and why your family values suggest that you would hit the more restricted setting, but know that they could change this, but also know that it's a good conversation to have. Let's take a look at how to do it. All right, so let's pop into Instagram. So where to go for that content filter? Let's tap on our account avatar in the bottom right, and then let's hit that hamburger in the upper right again, and let's take a look at settings. And then we're going to click on account, and then we're going to go down a little bit to sensitive content control, and we're going to say limit even more. So there's a allow everything, then there's a limit, kind of keep out some bad stuff, and then limit even more, which is where Instagram's going to do its best to keep out as much upsetting or offensive content as possible. All right, another thing that has been added to Instagram in 2022 is something called parental supervision. I have another video on exactly how to set up parental supervision that you can check out if you're wanting to see exactly which buttons to push. But basically, parental supervision allows you to not follow your child's account and still be able to see who their friends are. It also allows you to set a time limit for amount of time they can spend on Instagram. That's kind of the one parental control feature that the supervision tools have. With parental supervision tools, you're not going to be able to see the comments on the photos, which is why I, of course, suggest that you are actually following your child's account so that you can see their photos and their followers. I guess I'm kind of saying that if you're doing that, then you probably don't really need parental supervision set up within Instagram, because it doesn't really give you that many more tools than you would have just by following. Okay, and this next thing is actually not a setting, but actually a conversation. You're going to want to talk with your child about responsible use of social media, that it's not private, that it could be seen by lots of people out there in the world. If you do something bad, it's probably going to stick with you for a while, if not forever. You're also going to want to talk with your child about why and how they're using Instagram and how they can use it in a positive way. One of the big conversations I think you should be having with your child is about being kind. If you are leaving mean comments on someone else's, or if you're using Instagram in any way to bully or harass, it's really not a great use and not representing who you want to be or what your family values. So you'll want to have that conversation. But also, along with that conversation, is what to do when you see people using Instagram in ways that are hurtful to others. There's things you can do, and let me dive into Instagram and show you some of the things that you can do to block and report bad behavior. All right, let's start with reporting. So reporting is what you would do is if someone is behaving badly, like putting some nudity or sexual activity or hate speech or violence, stuff like that. Even bullying you could report, although bullying is difficult because could just be someone saying one mean thing, which is different than bullying. And I say that just because Instagram's going to probably have a difficult time with that one. But anyway, you can report a user from the three dots, the little caterpillar at the top of a post. Let's say they posted something about an eating disorder, and you want to report that. So you click on the three caterpillars, and there's the red report kind of button, and then you can go through that process. But also you could report from an actual user. So this is clicking report from a post, but let's say we were on a user's profile and we wanted to report essentially the whole profile. We could click on the three dots there, and you have the report option there as well. All right, next let's talk about blocking. So now, let's say your child is having some difficulty with a friend or a frenemy and they want to block them or restrict them through blocking. Again, they could go through the profile here to find the person and click on the three dots, and you've got block. What block will do is it will not allow the person anymore to like or comment on your posts. It also won't let them mention you or tag you or message you. So you are stopping communication with them, although if you have a public account, they can still see your photos. And you'll also notice the restrict button here, which is an interesting way. Restrict is less harsh than block. It would still let someone comment or like, but you would be the only one who sees it. And then you can actually approve it to be posted for other people to see. But it's kind of a way to... It's an in-between state of being able to manage if you're having a difficult relationship with someone. You don't want to block them from your life because you're trying to repair things, so you would just restrict them to a degree. All right, one thing I would encourage you not to do is a step I don't think is necessary, but a step I've seen other parents suggest that you do, and that would be to create or put the child's account on your phone so that you could toggle between your account and their account. Honestly, I think that's a step too far. If you're following your child on Instagram, you can see their posts, and you can see comments on their posts, and you can see what they're commenting on other people's posts. You don't need to be able to also look at their private messages. And you might be saying, well, yes, I do. Well, do you? I mean, would you have wanted your parents to have access to private messages or private conversations? I mean, this is a part of young people's culture. They might be messaging back and forth, and that's not something that you would want your parents to have access to. And so I'm going to suggest that you don't need their account logged in as them on your phone. It's a much better approach to sit with them and have them open it on their phone and have conversations about it that way, rather than have the ability to kind of be spying and looking at their stuff and private messages when they're not around. All right, one or two last points I guess I would want to say. Your conversation about Instagram and getting going with Instagram with your teen is not, or should not be, kind of a one and done sort of a thing. You want to keep having this conversation. Just because you talked about something doesn't mean your child's going to always do it right. Kids make mistakes, and the best way to learn from those mistakes is to have a loving parent coach and mentor them and guide them to making better decisions in the future, and of course doing something to make up for those mistakes. But it is a conversation that needs to be ongoing. And one last thing, hopefully when you're setting up Instagram with your child, they're not also creating a separate account. That is something that some kids do. Finsta is a fake Instagram account. There's other terms. I probably don't know the most recent ones because I'm an adult, but you'll want to be keeping an eye out, making sure that you know that a child could have two Instagram accounts and be doing something behind your back. All right, folks, I hope this has been helpful, and if you want more digital age parenting tips, stay tuned to this channel, subscribe, and I hope to be bringing more things your way. Thanks. Bye-bye.